those of us who represent areas that are overly reliant on the local property tax to fund education, that property tax rent rebate program is a lifeline for many of our seniors to be able to keep them in their homes. My understanding is that it's been 12 years since the income levels have been raised. And you indicated that we're seeing a declining population. Has there been any consideration of raising those income levels?
That's, as I indicated, that proposal is not in this budget, but if there's interest in that in the General Assembly, I'm sure it could be discussed as part of the budget solution.
One other question with regard to the property tax rent rebate program. I've had many constituents who've come in. I've prepared these myself. They come in to complete their PA 1000. They've been eligible for years, only to discover that they don't qualify for a rebate since they transferred a retirement account from one financial institution to another financial institution, or perhaps they've done some type of rollover. They are, operating within state and federal guidelines. But the department then considers these transferred funds as income, even though they don't access any of that money. It just goes from one financial institution to another. It does disqualify them from receiving a rebate because based on the way you treat that income, they don't meet the income eligibility requirements. So is there anything currently being proposed to address this issue?
Nothing has been proposed to my knowledge. I am familiar with the phenomenon you're referencing, and I believe that that's specified in the statute. It would require legislation to change it.
Okay. Thank you very much. If I may, with the additional time that I have, one of the questions that has not been brought up before you, I'm sure you had this conversation in the House, and it has to do with the governor's proposal to raise our minimum wage from $7.25 per hour to $12 per hour with 50-cent annual increases until we reach $15, essentially doubling, more than doubling our minimum wage. When you have looked at this proposal, have you accounted for the number of jobs that will potentially be lost and what those job losses will mean when you look at your tax revenue analysis?
Yes, the proposal causes a increase in the revenue estimate that's incorporated in the budget. And in doing that study, we did look at the potential effects on employment and concluded that there's no anticipated change in employment as a result of the proposal.
So essentially you're saying that not a single Pennsylvania worker would be impacted by the proposal? I mean, we've seen what's happened in California. I walk into Panera and I see a kiosk there because when California raised the minimum wage, they found new ways to provide services to customers that didn't include employees. So you're saying that we will see absolutely no job loss as a result of the increase of the minimum wage?
That's hard for me to react to, but let me just say this, that the kind of automation effects that you're talking about are happening anyway. In many, many locations, businesses have opted to provide services through some kind of automated or online system, and so that's happening regardless. I think that probably the impact that we're talking about would be complex. There are many thousands of businesses in Pennsylvania, and they all make their own decisions. All I'm saying to you is that when we've looked at academic studies that have examined what happens to employment in a state when there's a change in the minimum wage, in general, what we're seeing is that they find little or no impact on the level of employment in that state.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the governor's budget, it proposes a series of general fund tax revenue transfers to other special funds and the CFA. I tried to follow the money in this budget, and I likened it to a hide-and-seek approach. I believe Chris Kozmak just published an article in the newspaper that he called it, he likened it to Star Trek's multi-dimensional chess game. So I'm hoping that you can help me understand the reasoning behind this myriad of transfers that takes place in this budget.
Honestly, that would be a question better directed to the budget secretary. I'm aware of the fund transfer proposals here, but I can't speak to the reason why.
Well, I will certainly take it up with the budget secretary. Thank you.
Thank you.